Do the shape-shifting entities known as skinwalkers actually exist? This is all things creepy, let's begin. The original folklore for skinwalkers originates within the Native American Navajo culture. They were thought to be witches that could take on the form through a horrific shape-shifting process of an aggressive animal such as a bear, a wolf, usually with the intention to cause chaos or some other nefarious activity. Now, the Navajo people are quite reluctant to talk about this subject with outsiders. It's a topic that they don't normally want shared with the rest of the world. So a lot of the elements need to be taken with a grain of salt and are usually a result of handed down information or translations effectively. There have, however, been some adaptations into pop culture, probably the most famous being J.K. Rowling incorporating human to animal shapeshifters in the form of the animagus. And believe it or not, skinwalkers don't really have much to do with Skinwalker Ranch, other than the fact that it's named after them. So if you want me to do a video on Skinwalker Ranch, let me know in the comments and I'll gladly do a video all about Skinwalker Ranch. So now that that's out of the way, let's get into some of this found footage. So first off, one of the most infamous photos. Back in 2014, this photograph was posted all over Facebook. It was the talk of the town and it stirred up a lot of fear. Now bear in mind, this was back when Facebook was used a bit more heavily. I know now it's got a bit of a reputation for only being used by a certain demographic, but it was widely used back then. So this is potentially dashcam footage, however noticeably it doesn't have any of the graphics that you'd have as default on dashcam footage, so it's more likely just a snapshot, maybe with a lower quality phone camera or something like that using the flash. It's taken at night, so the visibility is relatively poor. It's next to a road, what appears to be a country road, so this doesn't seem to be deep in the heart of a city. And you can just about make out some greenery in the surrounding area, so this is likely next to some woods. The creature itself is of course quite freaky and attention grabbing. I think it certainly falls into the realm of uncanny valley, something that looks fairly familiar to us, but there's something just off about it that completely sets our mind ablaze. So there's humanoid elements. It seems to have a humanoid or at least primate face. It's got 4 limbs and appears to have the shoulder and frame of a human. And then of course, as you go to the back of the animal, it's contorted in an extremely strange way. Its legs are bowed back and downwards, almost in the way that a grasshopper's are positioned, so completely inhuman. And even more alarming, it appears to be completely naked. So the reason people think this is a skinwalker is because it would likely be a skinwalker in the process of transforming into an animal. Of course, there would be some horrific transformation phase when someone goes from humanoid into whatever animal they're turning into. So that process would involve the contortion of the body, lengthening of the limbs, all kind of horrific processes, and you'd imagine the result would look something like this in between those stages. This photograph is iconic. It really has stood the test of time. It still looks creepy today. In my opinion though, this is probably one of 2 options. A good example of Photoshop, right? This would be relatively easy to pull off by a skilled Photoshopper. I believe they could pull this off, even back then in 2014. The second option, and in my opinion the more plausible option, is that someone has gotten dressed up in a suit and played this out as a hoax. They've gotten a friend to take a photograph late at night, similar to some of those classic Bigfoot hoaxes. Why would they do that? Who knows? Artistic purposes, or maybe just to cause some chaos. There's many reasons why people would hoax, and the fact that we've caught so many people hoaxing is just proof to that. And interestingly, if this photo had just popped up recently, I would almost certainly say it's probably just AI generated. So that's quite sad, but the fact that it's from 2014, there's no way it's AI generated. And then of course there is the magic third option, that it is indeed real. So that is always an option, but as always, I tend to lean towards the more plausible answers first. So next up we have some stills taken by CCTV at Amarillo Zoo, and this was during COVID, so just before the AI explosion once again. This shows a figure standing upright outside one of the enclosure fences along the perimeter of the zoo. So interestingly, none of the zoo staff could identify what this was, and of course they have quite an extensive knowledge of animals, and there were no reports of an animal going missing from one of the enclosures, so this is something that likely originated outside. So this unidentified creature is rearing up on its hind legs or standing up, and appears to have fur and a strange shaped head, almost implying it has pointed ears and a snout maybe. Naturally, this is simply just an image that the CCTV has captured. I'm not sure if they were using a motion capture CCTV or something like that to save energy, but as far as I can tell, there isn't footage of this, it's only this single frame. Which more than anything is just unfortunate because it means we don't have a lot to go by. So once again, people have suggested that this is a skinwalker, possibly in that transitional process, right? Obviously, once it goes from an animal back into a human, it would stand upright eventually, you would have thought, and start taking on more humanoid characteristics, which of course, like the other one, but almost the inverse, leads to a situation where you've got something that's in between human and animal. Now, what animal it actually is quite a mystery. It has features that suggest it could be a raccoon, a coyote, potentially some other more exotic animal that some strange person has either decided to or accidentally released into the wild. This footage to me is a bit more interesting than the previous because of course it's been sent out there by a professional company, right, the zoo. They've got a public image that they need to maintain, so it's very unlikely that they're going to be pulling off some crazy hoaxes and using Photoshop and things like that. If I was going to try and think of the absolute most rational explanation, I'd probably say it's likely some sort of local wildlife, a coyote maybe, that has been rearing up on its hind legs at a bit of an awkward angle for the camera, and because this camera has only taken a snapshot, it looks a weird enough angle to where it seems a bit more humanoid than it actually is. But once again, even listening to that back, that sounds like a bit of a flimsy explanation. So maybe it is indeed a skinwalker, or perhaps it's a practical joker. Maybe someone is wearing a strange hat or a strange outfit and late at night randomly sneaking around the zoo. People have done stranger things, and especially when you're familiar with the furry community.
How come you want to be an animal?
I wouldn't put it past someone dressing up like a raccoon or something and wanting to hang around with animals. Who knows? But let me know what you think in the comments below on that one. A bit of a tricky one to work out for sure. So after those two decent clips, we then go on to some more eccentric skinwalker sightings. So this footage is from TikTok and it shows someone approaching a goat that is standing upright, and it seems to just stand there menacingly. It doesn't move an inch, almost suspiciously so, in my opinion. A skinwalker, I don't see anywhere in the law that they stand frozen like a statue, so to me it's quite obvious that this is just a pretty cool looking, I'll give it that, prop or maybe some weird taxidermy experiment, but it's definitely an inanimate object as far as I can tell. And it's on TikTok where almost everything is fake. So next we have admittedly some quite eerie footage of a supposed skinwalker sneaking up to have a look at a swimming pool. Take a look. So it drags itself up onto the wall, has a look around for a few seconds, and then quickly darts off. Pretty good looking footage, I must say, but to me, this is very easy to fake, right? Someone could easily just put on a costume and do this. It's at night. Decent quality camera footage, a nighttime surveillance footage over their pool. That's not too out of the ordinary. But the behaviours of the creature don't make sense to me, right? If this was a skinwalker, why would they be taking a quick look at someone's pool? That's what like a wild animal would do. The whole point of a skinwalker is that they have the mind of someone intelligent. Are they looking to rob this house? If that's so, why are they doing it when they're in the humanoid stage? Why are they doing it when they're halfway between human and animal? So maybe there's a slim chance that this is something else creepy, I don't know, like an alien or something. Once again, I think the chances of that are slim as well, but to me, this is definitely not a skinwalker. The footage isn't bad though, so if someone has hoaxed this and recorded it, it's decently well done. So let me know what you think in the comments below. There's plenty more skinwalker content out there, so if you want a part 2, if this video gets enough attention, I'll definitely do that. I also almost accidentally ended up researching a lot about the Wendigo too, so if you want to know about that, let me know in the comments as well. Hit the notification bell, like the video if you did, share it with a friend, and of course, if you haven't already, subscribe for more creepy content.